Changing up your diet can be hard. Let's face it, you've been eating something like the standard American diet for years and years, and trying to just go straight from that to eating healthy can be really, really challenging. You have cravings and so forth, and it's just really difficult, right? So, how is the best way to start a low carb diet, a carnivore diet? The first thing is, don't necessarily just watch YouTube videos of people that have been doing the diet for a year, a couple years, whatever, and think that you're going to be able to do exactly what they're doing in that moment. You want to go back, look at some of their earlier videos when they were first getting started, or if they're doing videos on how to start the diet, and look at some of those things. Do your research that way and see what really you should be doing when you first get started. One of the things that I see a lot of in this community, in the different content creators and so forth, is a lot of variation, different types of recipes and so forth, whether it's low carb recipes, carnivore recipes, whatever. And that's great. It really is. But if you're just getting started on carnivore or you're just getting started on low carb, doing those recipes could actually cause you to have more cravings. Think about it. Let's take mac and cheese, for instance. There is a carnivore recipe that I have seen out there a few different times for mac and cheese and seen people talking about it, right? And it's great. Let's say you're somebody that ate mac and cheese though throughout your life, the regular mac and cheese, the stuff that's not as healthy for you with the macaroni noodles and everything, and you love a mac and cheese. So you say, okay, I want to do this carnivore mac and cheese. And the idea of that is probably good because you love mac and cheese. But there's a problem with that too. You see, your brain is wired a little bit differently. It's still wired for carbs and cravings. So when you make that mac and cheese and you start to eat it, your brain is still thinking about cravings, sugars, whatever. And it's going to make you actually have more cravings than before. Now it's a different story. If you've been low carb or carnivore for a year or something and you don't have those cravings anymore, that's a different story. You're now going to do that carnivore recipe of mac and cheese, and it's going to be great for you and you're not going to get those cravings. But if you're early on in carnivore, low carb, keto, whatever it is, those cravings are for real. And unfortunately, eating those types of foods are just going to make the cravings even harder. And that's why some people do struggle, because they're trying to eat a lot of the same foods that they see other people do that have been doing it for a while. And really, you need to be back to basics type deal. When you're first getting started, you need to go with the basics. You know, be very plain, I guess, and eat, like for instance, on carnivore, you want to eat meats, whether it's chicken, pork, beef, whatever, but eat the meats, eat eggs. If you want to add some cheese to that, that's okay, but eat those types of things. Eat bacon, of course, that's a meat too, but eat bacon, all those types of things. If you're ketovore, whatever, you're probably going to add some vegetables into that too. That's okay. Don't go into like crazy recipes early on, but eat those basic foods. You probably need to stay away from some of the vegetables that are higher in oxalates, that kind of thing. But overall, you're going to be eating different vegetables. You might eat some berries, that kind of thing, and that's okay on keto, low carb. But those are the types of things you want to do. They're basic whole foods, basically, right? You're not making recipes so much out of your food. Then, once you've been doing this diet, this way of eating for a while, that's when the cravings start to go away and you can start introducing recipes like that. And it's kind of like a treat for you because, you used to eat that way and it just wasn't the healthy way, didn't have the healthy ingredients in it. Now you're putting healthy ingredients in it, and it's like a treat. Same thing with like pizza. I loved pizza, um, but I can't just decide to eat pizza with a chicken crust or something. At least early on, I couldn't because it would give me cravings for pizza. And it's just the way that your brain is wired, and it's how your brain thinks. So now I've been doing the diet for over a year, and I can do that. I can have a chicken and egg crust pizza, and I'm not going to crave to have regular pizza because of it. So think about that early on. Try and stay away from the recipes and be pretty basic with eating the whole foods. So here's another thing that's really difficult for people. And this is something that I think a lot of people say, I'm just not going to go low carb or carnivore because I just can't afford it. And it's true, eating healthy can be more expensive. Let's face it, processed foods, highly processed foods are not that expensive. They tend to be pretty cheap. They put really bad, cheap ingredients in it. And unfortunately, our health suffers because of it, but it's cheap food. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive to eat healthier, but I'm here to tell you, you can eat healthy and even on carnivore and not pay that much for your food. You can eat things like eggs and ground beef, for instance. Chicken as well. If you want to eat chicken, that works good, especially if you're doing keto. Ketovore chicken is a good one. If you're doing lion diet, obviously, you're going to stay with the ground beef. You're not going to do eggs really on lion diet. But if you're just doing a really strict carnivore, definitely you can do eggs and ground beef. Why do I say ground beef instead of steak? You see all the YouTubers, they're eating steak. Well, steak is expensive, right? I mean, you might be spending $8 to $15 a pound or more on that steak. But on ground beef, for instance, where I live, you can go to Costco and get ground beef for $3.99 a pound. That's pretty good. Um, I can also sometimes get lamb for like $4.99 or $5.99 a pound. I can get chuck for like $4.99 or $5.99 a pound, and those are good options as well. Chuck you can make into chuck roasts. You can do chuck steaks, especially if you have like a sous vide option. So there's a lot of different options for really cheap foods. You look at eggs. Um, they're not very expensive, even if you're going with the organic ones. A few dollars, $3, $4 for a dozen. You can get down around a dollar 30 or so for a dozen if you're going with regular eggs. And if that's what you need to do, then go ahead and do it. I eat regular eggs all the time instead of the organic ones or the cage-free ones. Yes, there are times I do eat those, but a lot of times, I'm just trying to save money, and so I eat the regular eggs. Hot dogs. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't eat hot dogs because it's not healthy for you. Um, it's still so much better than eating the standard American diet, than eating that original mac and cheese that had all the pasta, the wheat in it, and so forth, right? The grains. Um, yeah, it's true. Hot dogs are not going to be as clean for you as grass-fed beef is, for instance. But, if you can get yourself some hot dogs, some beef hot dogs, they're a pretty cheap price and it's still eating pretty healthy. And you know what that's going to do? It's going to allow you to get your life back, get your health in order. You're going to start feeling better. You're going to start losing weight. You're going to start slowly reversing the metabolic disease. And then maybe over time, you can start eating a more clean carnivore diet with, grass-fed beef or whatever it is that you want to do. But don't be afraid to eat those things early on. Hot dogs, sausages, bacon. I mean, there's a lot of people that eat bacon all the time, actually, even several years into the carnivore diet or a low-carb diet. So don't be afraid of bacon. It's like a superfood, right? The bacon fat is great. Keep your bacon fat. You can use it to cook different foods and so forth, different meats and whatever. So hopefully this video helps you out a little bit if you're just getting started with carnivore or ketovore, whatever type of low carb dieting that you're doing. Remember, You don't have to make it expensive. You don't have to eat steaks. You can eat eggs, which are really, really cheap. You can eat ground beef. You can make different things out of the ground beef. You can make burger patties with it. You can just keep it as ground beef as you cook it up. Maybe put a little bit of cheese or butter in it, whatever. You can do all those things that are cheaper. You can have chicken. Chicken tends to be cheaper. A lot of times it's harder to get the right fat content with chicken, so make sure you definitely put some butter on it and so forth. Um, and again, don't worry about too much of making recipes and different like full meal type things. Just eat the whole foods. Eat the ground beef. Eat the steak, the chicken, whatever it is you're eating. If you're doing low carb, add in your whole food vegetables that are good for you and so forth. Go ahead and do that. And that's going to be a lot simpler for you. It's going to help you to get over your cravings quicker. And then you're going to get to a point down the road, whether it's a few months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, that you're not going to have those cravings anymore. Your body's going to be in a much better shape. You're going to be getting rid of that metabolic disease that you had. And you're going to be able to introduce maybe a few other foods again and start doing some of those recipes and so forth. So, go ahead and like this video, share it with your friends and family, and let me know in the comments what you think. If you're just getting started and so forth, how is it going for you? If you've been doing this for a while and you have some of your own experiences to share with people that are new to the diet, go ahead and put those down in the comments as well.